Hello and welcome to another episode of Portside Conversation. I am Laura Lee Shapiro, owner of Where to Next Agency, and you have found Portside Conversations, where we talk all things about cruising, not just cruise ships and river cruises, which you've probably seen other episodes. Today, we're going to be talking about something a little bit different. It's something that you don't know you need until you wish you had it. So today we are talking all about travel insurance or travel protection, depending on how you want to call it. And my guest is Lisa Mullins from Travel Insured. Welcome, Lisa. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Laurie. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Thank you. So before we jump into talking about, excuse me, all things travel insurance, which I know is such a sexy topic.
Oh, yes, that's the fun. It's all the
Let's
fun stuff is about to come. Yeah.
tell me a little bit about yourself and how you ended up being with Travel Insured. This is a very interesting
Yeah.
component to the travel industry. It's one that a lot of people don't like to talk about, but it's one that we definitely should talk about. So tell me a
Yeah,
little bit about your
exactly.
journey, how you ended up here.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've worked my entire career in the travel industry. I'm originally from Ireland. I used to be a travel advisor myself back in Ireland for 6 years. I've now been over in the States coming up on 14.
Okay.
And as I say, I've always been in travel, but kind of in lots of different areas. Prior to this job with Travel Insured, I was a business development manager for a large theme park company.
Okay.
So quite a different area of the market, but always working very closely with travel advisors, with travel agencies. That's always been my passion, is, helping with training, with information, just with helping people become confident with the product. And I moved over to Travel Insured about 2.5 years ago, which a lot of people thought it was a funny move to leave kind of theme parks and come to insurance. But I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the European in me. I think just we have maybe a much more open mindset to insurance. In my experience in Europe, nobody would even consider traveling without insurance. So I have
Right.
always been an advocate for it. When I was an advisor, I have sold it. I also used to work for a European tour operator years ago in destination, where if you name it, I've seen all the things that can happen. And that's the nature of insurance. You're protecting against the what if, against the unforeseen, the unexpected. And hopefully none of that happens on your vacation,
Right.
but I know firsthand that things definitely cannot go to plan. So for me personally, I believe in the product. I think it's super important. And then my whole focus is working with agents like you, Laura Lee, with your agency, and just really helping you kind of get that message across of why
Right.
insurance is
Right.
important. Yeah.
So touching on that, do you think, one of the biggest misconceptions about travel insurance? I know I always try to have my clients purchase it, immediately after they put down that deposit, and the replies I always get is, "Oh, we're not going to cancel. We don't need insurance," or "I'll do it
Literally,
later." Um,
yeah,
and
that
then,
because people only think in one way. They think about themselves. Like, I want to go on this trip. I am not going to cancel. But the whole idea of insurance is there's so many other factors, external factors, things out of your control, things that could happen. So yes, while you have every intention of going on that trip and you're not going to cancel, you don't know. Nobody has a crystal ball as to what is going to
right,
happen
life
potentially
happens. Yeah.
happens. Yep. And talking about cruising, ship happens as well,
Right.
right? So anything can happen. And that's the whole point of insurance. You're just protecting against the unforeseen. And
Right.
we always joke, nobody ever wants it until they need it.
Right.
But the day that something happens and you need to make that claim, you need help, you need support, that is where insurance really is a priceless
Right.
resource. So
And
it's just been open to the possibilities. Yeah.
yeah, the other thing is that a lot of people, they assume that the travel insurance is only if you cancel. It also covers you while you're traveling. And then again, a reply I always get is, "Oh, my health insurance, through my
Yeah.
employer covers me when I travel, or
Mhm.
my credit card is going to cover me." And I
Yeah.
don't think they really understand the full scope of what a
Yeah.
separate designated travel insurance policy for that specific trip will cover. So kind of touch on, just
Yeah.
the high level of,
Yeah.
a gamut of the what ifs that
Well,
could happen that this would cover.
yeah. Well, the first thing I would say, kind of back to your first point, I give an analogy that there's like two sides to the insurance coin. One piece is protecting your investment. So you spend X amount, $10,000 on the trip. You want to protect your $10,000. And there's
Sure.
very little other purchases out there, like a large purchase, like a home, like a car, that you are not going to protect that investment. So it's the
Right.
same principle for your vacation. If something happens and now you can no longer go, we don't want you to lose your money. You want to protect your money. That's one side. The other side, then, yes, is all of the protections while you are physically traveling when you're on the vacation. You're away from home, you're in a foreign country, you're traveling internationally. You want to protect yourself should something happen. So, there really is kind of two sides. And then when travelers are saying, yes, my own healthcare will cover, a lot of people say their credit card will cover. The honest reality there is you need to be very sure. You need to read your insurance policy because the vast majority of US-based healthcare will not cover you for international travel. You go on a cruise out of Florida. Yes, Florida is US, but when you get into international waters, your US healthcare will not apply. If you need to be medically flown to a destination for emergency healthcare, again, your US healthcare most likely is not going to cover that. So you have to genuinely sometimes, and it's the boring part, right? But you have to kind of read and make sure
Yeah.
that you are understanding what you do and don't have. And that's the exact same for credit cards. Most credit cards, yes, they will offer some level of benefits of coverage. You have to dig in a little bit and see
Yeah.
what they are offering. In most cases, it's very limited coverage. They might give some medical, but maybe up to, say $1,000. What happens if you have a medical emergency and your bill is $10,000? You have to understand what limits are there. You need to make sure it will cover you for international travel. Plus, then there is some additional kind of T's and C's in the fine print of credit cards where I've heard stories it will only cover the one named person on the card. It's not going to cover if something happens
The
to
whole
your family
family.
member
Sure.
or a traveling companion. It's only that one person in black and white on the card, even if it's a spouse, but they're not listed on that card. Another piece is some people like to move payments between cards. I'm definitely guilty. I love my points. I work out which card is the best
Yeah.
one to pay, get my points. But if you maybe put your initial deposit payment on one credit card and use a different card for the balance, not covered. The
Okay.
entire trip has to be covered on one card. So I understand why people think I have a credit card, I have insurance. You need to look at what insurance they are offering, what the
Right.
limits are, what the coverage are, and what the rules are of that policy.
Right. Yeah. And that
Whereas when you go with someone like Travel Insured, we're a one-stop shop. We cover you door to door for the entire trip. So if you're doing a cruise, flights, a pre and post stay, excursions, transfers, whatever components you have in your trip, Travel Insured would cover you door to door for all elements.
Right. So talk real quickly. I understand there's different types of policies. And when I have clients, come to me and say, what kind of insurance policy should I pick? Because there's several options and several
Yeah.
companies. And my go-to is that I am not licensed to sell insurance. I say, go on their websites, look at the policies, you know what coverage you need
Yeah.
based on your personal situation. I don't know
Yeah.
your medical situation. I don't know your family situation.
Yeah.
And if they have questions, I ask them to contact the customer service folks at the various insurance companies. But one term that gets thrown around a lot is the cancel for any reason. And people
Yes.
think, oh, if I get canceled for any reason, that they take it at face value. Oh, I can cancel for any reason, no matter what, and get all my money back. And that's not quite how it
Not quite, yeah.
works.
Yeah,
So
no, that's a
I know
great
it's
point.
a popular term for throwing
Yeah,
around. So just kind of explain, for the viewer,
absolutely.
what
Yeah.
exactly is cancel for any
Yeah.
reason and how does that work?
So I'll take it back a little bit where you mentioned different plans, and that is very true. We kind of have three main plans that we kind of recommend and promote, and even of those, I focus on two, which are our deluxe plan and our platinum plan. So those plans are really quite similar, but what you're looking at if you were doing a comparison is the difference in the levels of coverage. So,
Right.
both will include cancellation coverage up to the amount that you insure. Both will include interruption. But then let's say, for example, there's a trip delay benefit. So, your flight's delayed, now you need to maybe pay for a hotel, taxis, food. The trip delay benefit, for example, in the platinum plan, it's up to $200 per person per day. And that comes into effect if you are delayed by 3 hours or more.
Okay.
Compared to that's the platinum. Compare that to the deluxe plan, it's $150 per person per day at a 6 hour time delay. So you
Oh,
still
okay.
have the delay benefit on both plans, but it's going to
Right.
be a different timeline and a different amount. Same, the medical protection is a big piece of travel insurance. You don't want to get caught internationally with a huge medical bill if you
Right.
have an emergency. So again, for example, platinum is our highest level of coverage. We cover $1 million in medical evacuation on the platinum plan, and we cover $500,000 in primary accident and sickness coverage. Compare that to deluxe. You have medical evacuation on deluxe at $500,000, where
Okay.
platinum was $1 million. The accident and sickness coverage on the deluxe plan is $250,000 compared to 500 on the platinum. So again, both those plans have all of those medical coverages, but you're looking at the amounts. And
Right.
as you say, that is where the responsibility really does fall to the traveler to look at what benefits are included in a plan, and then they make their decision based on that, whatever level they're happy with. Then another piece that you talked about, and I'm getting to CFAR, that's I know that was the question, but to highlight as well, in any insurance policy that you are purchasing, again, whether it's your travel policy, your house, your car, there is going to be a list within that policy of everything that is covered.
Right.
So, for example, our platinum plan has 31 covered reasons to cancel your vacation and get your money back. So if these things happen, you're covered, you file your claim, you get your money back. There's 31 on platinum. There are 22 covered reasons on deluxe. Again, that really is up to the traveler to understand those differences between the plans.
Right.
Adding CFAR, or cancel for any reason, a lot of people call it CFAR for short. That's an optional extra that you can put onto those plans. So you pay an additional fee, it's a choice, but it is literally giving the traveler the complete flexibility to cancel for any reason. So if something falls outside of that black and white list within the policy, they now have the flexibility. It's a time sensitive option, meaning if they want to have that extra protection, they need to book it. They need to book the policy and add CFAR within a time sensitive period. And that depends on the plan they choose. The deluxe plan I mentioned, that's within 14 days of paying your deposit for the trip. The platinum plan is within 21 days of your deposit. But it really is any reason. I mean, you can just decide, I don't like my vacation wardrobe, I don't want to go anymore, right? It is giving flexibility to
Right.
the traveler. If they need to cancel under the cancel for any reason benefit, we will cover up to 75% of their trip cost.
Okay.
On the original policy, if it's a covered reason, we cover up to 100% of the insured cost. The CFAR benefit, we cover up to 75%. And the only real caveat with CFAR, if they are just canceling for whatever reason, they have to do it at least 48 hours prior to departure.
Got it. Okay.
So it wouldn't work like morning of, but it gives them that flexibility up to 48 hours prior to departure to just cancel.
Right.
And I have so many examples. Let's say you have a couple who are not, maybe just a boyfriend, girlfriend, they're not married, maybe they don't live together, and they break up.
Oh,
Like that is
I've dealt
not,
with this one more
yeah,
times than I can tell you.
that's not a covered reason to
Right.
cancel your vacation and get your money back. Now, divorce is.
Right.
So if you had a married couple who were going through a legal divorce And again, insurance will always come to paperwork, unfortunately. So,
Right,
you would have the documentation to show that you're now going through a divorce. That is a covered reason you can cancel and get your money back. But a boyfriend, girlfriend just in a relationship breaking up, not a covered reason.
right,
Another one that I've seen quite frequently, let's say you have kids on a sports team, right? They're doing better than maybe you thought. Now
right.
they're moving towards the final, and the
Yeah,
final is going to fall over the dates of the family cruise.
right,
That's not a covered reason to cancel your whole trip and get your money back. But if you had CFAR, the family would have that flexibility to choose to cancel and they would get back 75%. So
oh,
it's really just giving a lot more flexibility to the traveler.
right. Yeah. So, we talk about how life happens,
Yeah.
and I can tell you just from my own experience with people that I've met while I'm cruising and clients that I've dealt with. I've had people cancel because their fur baby was sick and they didn't think they were going to make it, and they couldn't go on the trip because they weren't about to leave their pet and have something horrific happen while they're away,
Well,
so they've canceled.
we do offer pet coverage.
Right. Okay.
Again, it's an extra add-on, the same way
Sure.
I just like CFAR, you can add that as an extra level of coverage.
Yeah.
We have a pet, we call it a bundle. So we have a pet bundle that you can add to your plan. It's the same, the Deluxe Platinum that I
Yeah.
talked about. And it does exactly that. It means that you are now adding your pet getting sick or getting injured or
Right.
passing away as a covered reason to
Right.
cancel your
Yeah.
trip. And
And
that's important because obviously, we are advocating and recommending that people take insurance, but we also don't want to portray it as a cover absolutely everything under the
right.
sun policy. There
Right.
is verbiage within every policy of what is covered.
Of course.
Again, pets are not covered in the initial, but we do
Right.
have a choice there that people can
Yeah.
add those extra things to give, if that's their scenario, their situation, they can add that more specific coverage.
And that's exactly why I tell my clients, go on the website, look
Yeah,
at what the options are, because I don't know your life. I don't know, that
yeah,
you have a 16-year-old cat that,
yeah,
has
yeah,
diabetes or whatever the case may be.
yeah.
So I really try to defer my clients from, having me try to
Yeah.
make,
And they can also reach out to Travel Insured at
of
any point.
course.
Obviously, our full team, we are all licensed agents.
Right.
So our team can have that more detailed conversation. We can walk
Sure.
through the scenarios, walk through the coverage.
Yeah.
That's we're absolutely here to help. So
Yeah.
they can call us and have those
Yeah.
one-to-one conversations as well.
So speaking of your team, in the event that someone does have a policy with you and they are traveling
Mhm.
internationally, and something happens,
Yeah.
how obviously their first thing is they're going to want to call me, and I'm going
Right.
to say, "Did you buy insurance?" And if they say no, then I'll say, "Well,
Yeah,
there's not much
that's
I
the
can
thing.
do." But if they have
Yeah.
insurance, and if they did get a policy with Travel
Yeah.
Insured versus one of the other, providers, there's an international toll-free number for them to call, and you guys support them. Because I know, like, for example, Mexico, some of the not the hotels, the hospitals,
Yeah,
they want
medical
cash
facility.
up front before they
Yeah.
even talk to you.
Absolutely. And to me, like that is the real value of travel insurance. If you get delayed, yes, it's frustrating. If you
Right.
lose a bag and you need to replace some items, not ideal, not great, but most people can get through that and
Yeah.
carry on with their vacation. But, really where to me insurance is worth every penny is if you are in a medical or an emergency situation. Having that help and support
Hmm.
really is priceless. So yes, we have full 24/7 global assistance. So of course, step number one, if clients need urgent care, they go and seek medical care. Step two should be calling us.
Right.
Call our 24/7 helpline. We have boots on the ground all over the world, so we can get them in touch with someone more locally in that region. We can help with translation and interpretation if they're, maybe it's not super emergency and they're just looking for advice on a reputable clinic to go to, they can call us, we can give them guidance. And then in terms of the scenario you gave about, some places, especially the Caribbean, is known for it, that they want, payment up front.
Right.
Just to break that down, usually what happens with insurance is, let's say, I just maybe have a slip and fall and I cut my hand and I need a few stitches, right? I'll find the clinic, off I go, I'll get the care I need, I'll pay the bill, keep all of my paperwork, and I will file that claim when I'm home.
Right.
If it's a more extreme situation and the clinic or the facility is looking for a large payment up front, the client does not have access to those funds, then again, that is where our assistance company will step in. They will work with the client. Again, that's very case by case because it
Sure.
depends on the situation. If there's the possibility of potentially moving them to a place that we already have a partnership with or that we know maybe would provide better care, or if it's a real emergency situation and they just need the care now, we would send the payment. But that is definitely case by case. And
Right.
I will say the more normal situation is clients would pay their bill, keep all of those receipts, all of that paperwork, and then file the claim once that's all taken care of
Right.
and they're home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really just peace of mind because if you're traveling, you're already stressed out about the situation. It reminds me on, one of my Caribbean cruises, I was talking with a couple of moms that were, hanging at the pool, and they were on, family vacation, a whole group of them with teenagers and kids. And the teenagers were messing around, being teenagers. And one of them, she broke her collarbone.
Yeah.
And
Again,
they
we could
had
do
insurance,
I
luckily.
could do a
Um,
4-hour call on stories.
yeah, I mean, it's crazy because, like we started out, people like, oh, I'm not canceling, I don't need insurance. But if
Yeah.
you're traveling with kids or teenagers, you absolutely need insurance because if
Anybody,
anyone's going to get hurt on a trip, it's going to be the kids,
or
right?
like it's maybe parents or grandparents that are starting to get a little bit
Sure.
elderly, like those slip and falls. They step,
Yep.
Europe with those cobble streets everywhere,
Oh,
like things can
yeah.
happen. And I always
Yeah.
joke, insurance, it's a funny product because in an ideal world, you buy insurance and you never need it
Right.
because that's the best case scenario. It means nothing went wrong, nothing
Right.
happened. That's just the nature of the product. But
Right.
again, it's when something doesn't go to plan is when insurance becomes
Right.
priceless. And just, as you say, peace of mind, knowing that
Sure.
if something goes wrong, you have someone to talk to, you have help, you have support, you have those funds available, you're not going to be out of pocket. And I mean, again, I've heard people with no insurance have medical situations and the bills have gone up into the hundreds of
Oh,
thousands of dollars. I
absolutely.
mean, that's life changing for
Yeah.
someone to be in that situation. So for the sake of usually, a couple hundred, several $100s, depending on what the
Right.
trip is, to put that extra layer of protection, it's just, to me, it's worth it's worth it all the time. So
Right.
it's just, but it's for clients to our travelers to understand you're just giving yourself protection and
Right.
support if something happens.
No, absolutely. So choosing my words carefully here, what would
Okay.
be the main difference in purchasing travel insurance directly through the cruise line, because they do offer it,
Yeah.
versus a third party company like Travel Insured, the one that you're
Yeah.
with, as far as, you know, they're more economical, the one that the cruise line offers, but I think the coverage is probably a little bit less.
Yeah.
But other than that, are there any real differences that people should be aware of?
I would say, yeah. And I mean, that's the thing, when you're looking at things that are priced differently, there's a reason why maybe something is lower and something is higher
Sure.
because you're getting more, like, so yes, sometimes the cruise lines can be more economical. But again, if you really dug in and did that side by side comparison, you're really compromising on the coverage. It goes back to kind of like we were chatting about that credit card coverage.
Right.
Take our policy, but very few people read the fine print to understand what's included in it. And it's very restrictive. Again, their medical cover is usually very, very low.
Right.
So you're just getting much better coverage, number one. I would say as well, number two is that direct relationship. If a traveler is booking with you, Laura Lee, they know that you have a partnership with me. And while, yes, you also have partnerships with cruise lines, your cruise contact is not going to get into an,
No,
an insurance
they're
situation.
not an insurance company. They're a cruise line,
Exactly.
and it's another
They've
company
yeah,
that they're
they've
selling it
outsourced
to.
that somewhere else.
Yeah.
Whereas your clients, we're a preferred partner. if you have questions, if you need help, your client needs something, you have a direct line to me. So I think just that relationship piece is important, especially if it's a claim situation. Again, a claim means that something did not go to plan. Clients are dealing with a situation. So the more help and support and information that I can give and you can give is just better for everybody.
Right.
But the main one, it really does go back to the credit card comparison where you're just not getting the same levels. The medical coverage is much lower. Quite often as well, they might protect that financial piece, but it's usually a credit or a voucher. It's
Right.
not, if you did need to cancel, it's not always cash back in your bank.
Right.
So there is definitely some differences. I think third party is the way to go. And our price point now with Travel Insured, we have very competitive premiums. We really have a very aggressive pricing strategy. So I think a lot of your travelers would be pleasantly surprised that at our price points it's more
Right.
affordable than it has been, while offering much higher coverage. So it's really a win-win.
Right. Okay. So this has been amazing. A lot of great information. I like to end my Portside conversations with a lightning round. So
Okay.
knowing that you are in the travel industry and you are very well traveled, I'm just going to fire us some questions and you just tell me first thing that comes to your mind. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Window or aisle when you're flying?
Oh, window.
Window. Okay. Me too.
I like to sleep.
I
I like to put my head and sleep.
right, right. And I need the window on the right-hand side of the plane because I sleep with the right.
Okay, I could do either, but definitely window.
Okay. What is the next trip on your bucket list?
Bucket list. I'm actually going, I just completed one, which was Australia. I was
Oh,
just in Australia over New Year's Eve. We did the fireworks in Sydney Harbor, so that was pretty bucket list.
okay.
Next, looking ahead, I'm going to Alaska in July for the first time. So
Oh,
excited for that one.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Are you doing cruise or land or
I'm
both?
doing a cruise. I'm doing actually a Virgin Voyage cruise on their
Oh,
new ship out of
wonderful.
Seattle. Yeah, so
You
very
will
that's
enjoy that.
yeah, it's been on
Okay.
the list for a long time, so excited to see Alaska.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so your flight is boarding. Are you in line at the gate or in line at Starbucks?
The gate, I think. I don't drink coffee. I'm a bad American. I don't drink coffee, so I'm probably at the gate.
Okay, I'm right there with you. I'm a planner. I have
Yeah.
to be there, just
Yeah.
in time.
Just see what's happening. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Next one. What is one thing that you cannot travel without?
Noise canceling headphones or earpods. Yeah, noise
Yeah.
canceling though.
Until they have planes that are child free, like cruise ships are child free.
Too, yeah. Well, it's no coincidence I'm on Virgin for Alaska. They are
Right.
child free, so
Awesome. Okay. And then last one. What is your favorite city if you could visit it over and over again? Where would you go?
oh, that's so hard. I have a very soft spot in my heart for London. I do love London. I used to work in an Irish pub in London a long time ago, and I have a
Okay.
lot of UK friends, but I do genuinely love London. Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. Well, thank you again, Lisa. This has been really,
No
it's
problem.
been fun and educational. I know
Yeah,
people say, oh, insurance, there's nothing fun or sexy about that topic, but it's an important topic. So
it
thank
is.
you again for your time. This has been another episode of Portside Conversations. Again, I'm Laura Lee with Where to Next Agency. And if you have any questions about travel insurance, or cruising for that matter, you can reach out to me through my website at wheretonextagency.com. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode of Portside Conversations. Thanks again for watching and have a great day.